An inspirational interval with presence. Whoa, where's my equipment? It's gone. My clicker. You know, do you have problems missing your clicker at home? That's what I call it, the clicker. It's like somewhere there's a clicker in this room. Aha! Thank you. Now I feel like I have the power. Hey. Today I'm talking about what is your weather, what is your consciousness? You know, what is the weather? I'm going to start with a quote from the Bible. This is from John. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Do not let your heart be troubled, nor let it be fearful. So, I started to tell you about when I was in Breckenridge for my Unity South Central Region Conference. There was a couple of healers there. I really had a wonderful experience of feeling my consciousness transform. And that's what I want to convey to you, because it wasn't but here's the main point I want to strike right now off the bat. It wasn't because the healer had the consciousness. It was because the person who was giving the seminar, who was teaching us that we have the consciousness. That we have the consciousness. So do you want to bring up the slides for me? Oh. Okay, there they are. Perfectly ready. All right. Now, Paul Selig was one of the guys who was speaking, and I want to read something that he said. Let's talk about things as they are. What things are today in the current state of your consciousness? These are things in your life that you wish were gone. There are things in your life that you wish were gone. There are problems that you've created which dismantle the ideals that you would like to live by. There are feelings that you contend with that make you feel terrible. All of this is the state that you walk around in. So that's Paul Selig from I Am the Word. Now, that is meaning that all these things come together with our state of consciousness that we walk around in, right? You know, we know how that is. We are of many parts, thoughts, feelings, and unconscious junk. Now, what we want to do in our let's get ascended, right? We want to ascend. We want our consciousness to rise. We want to produce healing like Linda's knee and, you know, magic toothpaste tubes and parking spaces and all that stuff. You know, we want to do that. And there's some understanding that will help us do just that. Here's how you rectify that. This is what I'm teaching is, the beginning of what I'm teaching is from Paul Selig. So he says that we rectify that by understanding that anything you experience, you choose. Ouch! Anything you experience, you choose. I can't tell you how I have fought against that. Ever since I stumbled upon Unity and knew that I loved it. I hate that. And if you know me, you've probably seen me have a few fits. Anything you experience, you choose. Everything? Yes, everything. How can that be? Well, you choose it on a level of consciousness. So either with intention or unconsciousness. My first understanding of the laws of attraction, this is a unity thing. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. That's an old rhyme that we've studied for a long time in Unity. And except for this, and this, right? I mean, that's what my mind goes. But here's what I learned about how we create our reality. We create our reality by focusing on it. We can also create something by focusing on our fear of it. I've been afraid of things and brought them right into my life. we can also see it where it is not there. We project it, so it's just the same as it's there. If you see it, and you think it's there, it's there. And then our unconscious thoughts. And the first teaching or the first lesson I ever had in metaphysics was our conscious thoughts are like the tip of the iceberg, and our unconscious thoughts are like the rest of the iceberg. And you know what the biggest part of the iceberg is? Under the water, right? So the unconscious thoughts are the part of the iceberg that's underneath the water. Well, then no wonder that my life looks this way, right? Now, there were absolutely times that I recognized each of these things happening, and I'm going to give you my favorite examples. For one, to focus on it, one of the first things I did when I was learning how to focus on something was, it was 1990, and I needed a job, and I was doing some volunteer work at a friend's house. In 1990, that's when we all started playing with computers, right? That's when I started playing with them. And I didn't have a computer, and I thought, I want to learn how to use computers, so I want a job with computers. I want it to be pretty, and I want pink walls. I don't know why. I just did. So, about 6 months later, I had a job working as a receptionist for an OB/GYN place, and I was learning all about computers, and the walls were pink. It was really nice. So, my favorite story about, I guess the other thing is, in 1989, right around that time, when I first discovered Unity, that was when the seed of I want to be a minister happened to me. So, and I focused on that, and actually by 1999, I was an assistant minister at Unity of Boulder. Ended up going to school and coming here. So, that happened. That thing happened. I focused on it. So my favorite story about focus on the fear of it was I was in a sauna in Colorado, and I used to worry because the floor was slatted. And I had a key. I was in a towel, and I had a key. And I kept thinking, that would be bad if that key dropped to the slats, because I would be practically naked, and what would I do? Well, sure enough, I dropped that key right into the slat. So it was one of those things that cracks me up forever and ever, because it was as if I wanted to teach myself how it is that when you're afraid of something and you keep focusing on it, you will make it happen. You will make it happen. The next part, my favorite story about after the key I dropped in the sauna, is that when I was in ministerial school, they have this thing called licensing and ordination. And I did not enjoy that. It was the time where you studied, and then you had a time to go before 6 ministers. We had to do it 4 times in the 3 years I was just at school, and they were going to basically evaluate me and see if I could go on and be a minister. So I didn't like that they had power over me, and my fear came up every time. And the way they did it was you met with 6 people, then you met with another 6 people, and then if they both thought you needed some help, then you would get something called you would be on concern. And if only one group thought you needed a little help, you had to go see another group of 6 people the next day. So every time I would get that call, you got a 3rd interview. And every time I knew I had to choose, like, am I going to go with my fear, or I'm going to find my inner strength, knowing that I am supposed to be a minister, and whatever my fear thoughts were that were out picturing, because I was focusing on it, even though I tried not to, that I needed to call on myself and be strong. And every time I had the 3rd interview, and they loved me every time. 3rd interviews always loved me. Can I say, it wouldn't have even been that bad if I'd been unconcerned, but I really didn't want it, because all that meant was you got extra help, blah, blah, hardly ever by the time you've gotten that far would they say, we don't think you're going to be a minister. But that was my fear. Now, the third way that we create our reality, we see it when it is not there. It was funny because I actually had to ask Roland, what was it that I used to project onto you all the time? Because I hadn't done it for a long time, and he said, you used to think I was mad at you. I used to think he was mad at me because I had the thought that, well, in my family, I really think my poor dad was mad all the time, and I thought he was mad at me. I don't really think he was. I think he just had stuff going on, and he was irritable or whatever. And I would think Roland was mad at me all the time. I would say, are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? And it would feel like he was mad at me. And finally, it started clicking to me. He would be, well, I'm going to get mad at you if you keep asking me. Eventually, the penny dropped, and I realized that he wasn't mad at me. So occasionally, it's funny. I still will say, like, are you mad at me? He says, no, I believe him. Instead of saying, are you sure? Are you sure? So he wasn't mad at me, but I was creating it for myself because I was projecting it. That's another way we create our reality. And unconscious thoughts. So as a kid, one of some of the unconscious thoughts I had, which is like, your unconscious thoughts really are unconscious. They're your blind spots. You don't know they're there. They're not the thoughts that you've already come up with, But if you want to know what your unconscious thoughts are, all you have to do is look at your life, or look at what's bugging you. And then you can find out there's some unconscious thoughts that are there just for healing, They're just there for healing. And I have to say I've come a long way. When I was a little kid, I thought people didn't like me. For whatever reason, I'm pretty sure they did, but I had that little batch of unconscious thoughts. Kids would tease me, whatever. That was an unconscious thing that eventually I recognized. And, now I just assume everybody likes me, whether I'm wrong or not. It works much better that way. And the other thing is that has totally changed from me is that in our family, there were 8 kids, and my parents were professionals and stuff, and there was always just enough money to go to Catholic school and support the church and everything. There wasn't a lot of extra money. So that was my pattern for a while. I want to say that it's completely healed. There's more than enough money, and I get to go on fabulous vacations and have a wonderful, abundant life and all the toothpaste I ever want. So that's something that I've healed, and but there was also some good things embedded in my family belief. So it was embedded in my family belief that God loves you and that you're worth loving. So what a gift, to have that in my consciousness. It's not all of our unconscious thoughts are not bad and terrible. Many of our can I say that? Unconscious thoughts are good. And when you look at how you see the universe, and I just knew that I had a soul. I knew that I was, as a kid, because that was embedded in my family belief and the Catholic schools and everything, that God was a loving God and that I was basically okay. I mean, I have my unworthiness, trust me, everybody does, but basically I felt like I was okay, and that was a beautiful embedded thought. That was good. So it's wonderful to bring that in. So all of our thoughts that are unconscious, we want to bring them into the light, and we want to work with them so that going back to the 2 ways of creating reality is intention or unconsciousness. We want to bring all of it into intention. I can't remember what else I put up here. Here we go. Intention is we want to heal our unconscious patterns and choose the Christ consciousness. So everything, all of this, the way the universe works, is a feedback system that is perfectly poised at every minute to bring us exactly where we need to be for our ascension, for the next place in our path. Okay? Everything. And life on earth is not especially easy. Have I talked recently about it's not always a walk in the park, sometimes it's a walk in the jungle, and there's alligators. Or the swamp, the tiger, whatever. So in the midst of all this, we need to have compassion for ourselves and others. This quote I didn't put up on the overhead, but I want to read it. It's from Pema Children. We can meet our match with a poodle or a raging guard dog, but the interesting question is, what happens next? We can meet our match, we can meet our circumstance, we can meet our feedback, right? We can meet it with a raging dog or a poodle. And even then, so meaning what comes up in you when life is, gives you the bumps? What comes up? Are you going to, get mad? Are you going to have fun? What are you going to do? Going to chase the frisbee? What are you going to do? And it's just critically important for all of us to get that it's a game, or it's fun, or all of it really is for us, that we are totally surrounded by loving God. Okay? The loving presence. The Creator that made you loves you. This is really, really true. I don't just know this because it was embedded in my consciousness and it's the bottom part of the iceberg. I know this because I know it because my consciousness has vibrated enough to meet that. Okay, so my consciousness, the who I am, has vibrated at that level of unconditional love. So I know that to be true for me, and more importantly, when I'm standing here, I know that to be true for you. Part of how I got there is because I believed people when they told me, because I could feel it, that there's an absolutely loving, wonderful presence in the universe. All that is, the universe, God the Creator, that loves you. It really makes a difference. And that the love, the vibration of unconditional love or grace is what makes it easier. It's what makes it more fun. It's what's going to make it easier for us to choose an ascended consciousness rather than a crabby Appleton consciousness. Let's see. I'm going to go back here. All right. So I want to read just a little bit from Eric Butterworth, what he says about the law of attraction. Eric Butterworth is he's passed away, but he's a very popular Unity writer. He wrote a lot in the 60s, or maybe the 70s. And he really was big on the law of attraction, and he's one of the voices for Unity for, why we want to choose positivity. He says, there are no experiences unrelated to the consciousness of all who may be involved. Every person is a living magnet, drawing to herself things, people, and circumstances in accord with her thoughts. There it is again. If you're having a problem, don't shift into the attitude that a twist of fate has ruined my life. This is a cop-out. The experience has happened to you, not to someone else. You might not understand it, but something in you has attracted it to you. And here's what I want to say. Like everything, even things that suck, are here for our ascension. So even the things that you hate the most are part of our ascension journey. Did I say, and I want to repeat it, perfectly created for your ascension. Every single thing in your life, perfectly created for your ascension. So, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That is the first line of the Gospel of John. When I think of the Word, what does that mean? And the Word was God. The Word is the part of our self that's true. It is our true self. It is the Word. It is the God. It is the part of us that is always there. It is our Christ consciousness that we choose to come from. That John reminds us that it's what we choose to come from. Now, one quick way to always get to that consciousness is to choose unconditional love. That's the loving way. You just choose unconditional love. You choose to love whatever is happening in the minute, in that moment. So whatever's up, you just love it. You just love it. Whatever suckiness it is, you love it, and you see that it's there for your ascension. And it transforms everything. The other way, which you have to do, is also to bring up some of those unconscious thoughts and to heal them, to look at them. You shine the light of love on them and heal them. So I wanted to share one more personal thing with you, and that is that Roland and I are about to go on one of those journeys where things that seem kind of sucky actually are here for our perfect ascension. And he's got a health challenge, and I actually do consider it a health challenge, and of course it's him, not me, but I'm along for the ride. He has a sarcoma. He's going to have some radiation and surgery. But the thing in his leg, and the thing about it is this, that the doctor said, this is going to cure it. So it's, and let me just say that again, this will cure it. So it's a journey, it's definitely a bump in the road, and it is one of those, the truth is, anytime anybody says cancer, there's a lot of energy associated with that, there's a lot of fear energy. So one of the, and you're just going to know what's going on with me because I can never hide anything. And I actually feel pretty, I feel very positive. I will admit that it pulled the rug out from me for a couple of days. And I'm not even the one who's going to have to suffer, I'm not going to, it's just that it's going to affect me. I noticed that it took a bite out of my energy, and then I thought, this is perfect, I really need, this is the perfect thing for me to be so aware. I like to practice mindfulness. So when stuff like that happens, if you have a nail in your shoe, you are going to be aware of it, right? You are just going to be aware of it. And that's why I wanted to give this talk when I said this things, because it's really important for all of us to realize that if we notice we have unconscious fear, look at that. Feel it as fear, let it go, and really choose to be the Christ. One thing that Eric Butterworth said that I really liked was this. When something happens and you don't like it, retrieve the idea of blessing. Okay? If something is a negative, you neutralize it and you bless it, which is to know the truth about it or the truth about the person. So it's not magic. It's not magical thinking. It's not denial, but it is saying we know the truth about this, that all things are in our life for our perfect unfolding, and all things are in our life for us to ascend, to help us to choose ascension consciousness. So I am asking all of you to help me to remind me that all things are positive, and to I'll take all the surrounding of love and health and wholeness that I can, and also Roland. And to know with me that we are all in this together, and that we ascend together also. So we ascend together also. Now, I totally love the energy of choosing the Christ. It's like I want to take a little step every time I say that. I totally love the energy of choosing the Christ, of saying, I know who I came to be, I know what I came to be, and I know what I came to serve in truth. And I also really love that that is one of the things we do for each other, that we know that about each other. Like, I know it for me, I know it for you. So, and I'm going to ask you to know it for me as I know it for you in these coming months. So that's great. And next week is going to be so much fun because we are going to delve into our unconsciousness. Whoa. I know. I know. Let's take an offering for unity.